The red wine hit Franklin Rhodes in the face without warning. He'd been standing near the bar at the plaza, checking his phone after an 18-hour flight from Singapore when it happened. Wine dripped down his face, staining his casual shirt. "Oh my God," a young woman's voice dripped with mock concern. "I am so sorry, but maybe next time you'll think twice before refusing to get me a drink." Franklin wiped wine from his eyes and looked at her. Victoria Castellano, designer dress, diamond earrings, and a smirk that said she'd done it on purpose. She thought he was a waiter. Her friends were barely containing their laughter. "That's literally your job," Victoria added loudly, making sure everyone nearby could hear. Before Franklin could respond, two people approached. Marcus and Elena Castellano, Victoria's parents. The same real estate moguls who'd been begging Franklin for 6 months to invest $75 million in their development project. Marcus looked at the scene and laughed. "Victoria, darling, what have we told you about terrorizing the staff?" Elena smiled indulgently. "Franklin Rhodes should be arriving any minute. So perhaps—" She stopped mid-sentence. Her eyes landed on Franklin's wine-soaked face. The face she'd seen in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, Business Insider. Her face went white. "Oh my God," she whispered. Marcus followed her gaze, and recognition hit him like a punch. "Mr. Rhodes?" Franklin stood there, dripping with wine, while the entire ballroom watched. "I'm Franklin Rhodes," he said quietly. "The man your daughter just assaulted because she thought I was a waiter. The man you've been begging to invest $75 million in your company." Silence. Complete silence. Victoria's smirk vanished. Marcus looked like he might be sick. Franklin set down the napkin a horrified server had handed him. "You have 10 hours, he said. "Enjoy them." He walked toward the exit. Behind him, Marcus's voice cracked. "Victoria, do you have any idea what you just did?" Franklin did. And by morning, so would they. You just watched a billionaire get humiliated by someone who thought he was beneath her. But you don't know why Franklin was dressed casually. You don't know what crisis he just flew from. And you don't know what he's about to do that will change the Castellano family forever. If you need to understand how one moment of cruelty can expose everything wrong with entitlement, if you want to see what happens when the person you dismiss turns out to be the person holding your future, then stay with me. Because this story is about to show you that sometimes the most expensive mistake you can make is assuming someone's worth by how they look. Hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to see how this ends. Now let me take you back 18 hours earlier, to the moment Franklin Rhodes made a choice that would lead him to that ballroom. Franklin Rhodes was not supposed to be at a charity gala in New York. He was supposed to be in Singapore, overseeing the final stages of a data center acquisition that would expand Rhodes' innovations into the Asian market. But at 3 a.m. Singapore time, he'd gotten a different kind of call. "Franklin, it's Sarah." His sister's voice had been tight with panic. "Mom's in the hospital. They think it's her heart. They're running tests, but you need to come home. Now." Franklin had been on a plane within 2 hours. His mother, a 68-year-old retired teacher who'd raised him and his sister alone after their father died, was stable by the time he landed at JFK. Minor arrhythmia, stress-related, treatable. But she'd been in the hospital for 12 hours, alone, scared, because Franklin had been on the other side of the world, chasing another deal. "I'm fine, sweetheart," she'd said when he arrived at her bedside, still in his rumpled travel clothes. "You didn't have to fly all the way back. I know how important your work is." "You're more important," Franklin had said, gripping her hand. But the guilt had already set in. He'd missed her birthday last month because of a board meeting, missed Thanksgiving because of a product launch, missed so many moments because he was always building, always growing, always chasing the next billion. His mother had squeezed his hand. "There's a charity gala tonight, the one I told you about, for arts education in public schools. I was supposed to go, but obviously." She gestured to the hospital bed. "Mom, you don't need to worry about that." Franklin. She'd given him the look, the one that said she was still his mother, hospital bed or not. "The Castellanos are hosting it. They've been trying to meet you for months, and they're making a significant donation to the arts program. It would mean a lot if someone from our family showed up." Franklin had sighed. "I'll send a representative. You'll go yourself," his mother had interrupted. You'll wear something nice. You'll make an appearance. You'll remember that there's more to life than board meetings and acquisitions. So Franklin had agreed. But after spending 8 hours at the hospital, after finally leaving when his sister arrived to sit with their mother, after the exhaustion of 48 hours of travel and crisis caught up with him, Franklin had run out of time. He'd gone to the gala straight from the hospital. Jeans, casual button-down, no tie, no jacket, just exhaustion carved into his face and the weight of almost losing someone he loved still heavy on his shoulders. He'd figured he'd make a brief appearance, shake some hands, make a donation, leave. He hadn't figured that the host's daughter would mistake him for the help, or that when he politely declined to get her a drink because he wasn't a waiter and he was barely holding himself together, she'd throw wine in his face to punish him for his rudeness. Franklin Rhodes had built his fortune by being underestimated. At 38, he was worth $4 billion. Rhodes Innovations specialized in cybersecurity and data infrastructure for Fortune 500 companies. He'd started the company in his garage with $2,000 and a laptop. He'd grown up in the Bronx, public schools, scholarship to MIT, first in his family to graduate college. He knew what it was like to be dismissed, to walk into rooms where people assumed he was there to serve, not to lead, to have his ideas ignored until someone else repeated them, to work twice as hard for half the recognition. He'd built his company despite that, or maybe because of it. But he'd also built it while losing time with the people who mattered. His mother, his sister, the niece and nephew he barely knew because he was always traveling. Tonight was supposed to be different. He was supposed to honor his mother's request, make an appearance, remember what mattered. Instead, he'd been humiliated, assaulted, laughed at, by people who wanted his money, who needed his investment, who had no idea that the man they'd just treated like trash was the only thing standing between their development project and bankruptcy. Franklin had done his research on the Castellanos. Marcus and Elena were third-generation real estate developers. Their family had built luxury properties across Manhattan for 70 years, hotels, condos, office buildings. But the market had shifted. Luxury real estate was oversaturated. Their last 3 projects had underperformed. They were leveraged to the limit on a massive new development in Hudson Yards, a smart building complex that needed cutting-edge tech infrastructure. That's where Franklin came in. They needed his technology, his systems, his reputation, and they needed his $75 million investment to make it happen. Without Franklin, the project would collapse. Their company would face serious financial trouble. Franklin had known all this when he agreed to the meeting. He'd been on the fence about the deal. The numbers were good, but something about the Castellanos had felt off, too eager, too smooth, too focused on appearances. Now he understood why. They cared about image, about status, about who looked the part, not about character, not about substance, not about treating people with basic human dignity. Franklin walked out of the plaza and stood on Fifth Avenue, the cool November air hitting his wine-soaked shirt. His phone buzzed. 6 missed calls from Marcus Castellano, 3 from Elena, 2 from their lawyer. Franklin ignored them all. He made one call instead. "David, it's Franklin. I need you to draft a formal withdrawal from the Castellano development project. Cite irreconcilable differences in company values. I want it sent by morning." "Franklin, are you sure?" his lawyer asked. "That's a $75 million deal." "I'm sure," Franklin said. "Send it by 8 a.m. And David, make sure every real estate outlet in New York knows why we pulled out. Every detail. Every." He hung up. Then he made a second call. "James," he said when the young server from the gala answered, sounding nervous. "This is Franklin Rhodes. I wanted to thank you for the napkins earlier. And I wanted to ask you something. Are you in college?" "Ah, yes, sir. NYU. I'm working my way through." "Why?" "Because you showed me more respect in 30 seconds than some people with millions of dollars showed me all night," Franklin said. "I'd like to offer you an internship at Rhodes Innovations, paid, full-time during summer, part-time during school, if you're interested." Silence. Then, "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Franklin said. "And James, bring your resume to my office Monday morning. I have a feeling you're going to do great things." By 8 a.m., the next morning, The story had hit every major business outlet in New York. Rhodes Innovations pulls $75 million investment from Castellano Development after cultural misalignment. Billionaire tech CEO walks away from major deal, following incident at charity gala. Sources: Franklin Rhodes treated like help by potential partner's daughter. The business community was buzzing, social media was on fire, and the Castellanos were in full crisis mode. Franklin was in his office at Rhodes Tower in Midtown when his assistant buzzed. "Mr. Rhodes, Marcus Castellano is here. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent. He's been waiting in the lobby for 2 hours." Franklin leaned back in his chair. "Send him up!" Marcus Castellano looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were bloodshot. He practically ran into Franklin's office. "Franklin, please, just give me 5 minutes to explain." "Explain what?" Franklin asked calmly. "That your daughter thought I was a waiter and assaulted me with wine? That you laughed about it? That your wife was more concerned about my early arrival than about what your family did?" Marcus's face crumpled. "She's young. She's spoiled. We've given her too much and taught her too little. But please, this deal, our company needs this deal. We're leveraged on the Hudson Yards project. Without your technology, without your investment, we're looking at bankruptcy." "I know," Franklin said. "I read your financials. Then you know what this will do to us. To hundreds of employees who rely on our company, to the contractors already working on the project. To you," Franklin interrupted. "This will hurt you, Marcus. Let's be honest about that." Marcus swallowed hard. "Yes, it will destroy us. Everything my grandfather built, everything my father built, 70 years of work, gone. Because your daughter threw wine at someone she thought was beneath her," Franklin said. "Because you laughed instead of apologizing. Because your family treats people like garbage when you think they can't touch you." "I know," Marcus's voice broke. "I know we were wrong. I know we failed. But please, Franklin, please don't make hundreds of innocent people pay for our family's mistake." Franklin was quiet for a long moment. "Your daughter," he finally said. "Victoria, where is she?" "At home. Devastated. She had no idea who you were. She's horrified by what she did." "Is she horrified because she hurt someone?" Franklin asked. "Or because she hurt someone important?" Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. Franklin stood and walked to the window overlooking Manhattan. "I grew up in the Bronx," he said quietly. "My mother cleaned houses to pay for my school supplies. I wore thrift store clothes to MIT because it's all we could afford. And I was treated exactly like your daughter treated me last night, over and over, by people who thought they were better than me because of where I came from." He turned to face Marcus. "The difference is, your daughter did it because she thought I was a waiter. She would have done it to any waiter, any server, any person she deemed beneath her. That's not a mistake, Marcus. That's character. That's how she sees the world." "She can change," Marcus said desperately. "We can teach her. We can." "Can you?" Franklin asked. "Because from where I'm standing, you're not upset that she treated someone terribly. You're upset that she treated me terribly. That the person she abused turned out to be someone with power." Marcus's silence was answer enough. Franklin sat back down at his desk. "Here's what's going to happen," he said. "The deal is canceled. That's final. Your company will face the consequences of being over-leveraged without a tech partner." Marcus's face went white. Franklin continued, "I'm not heartless. Your employees don't deserve to suffer because of your family's failures, so I'm going to make you an offer. One time, take it or leave it." Marcus leaned forward desperately. "Anything. Victoria works for me. Unpaid internship. 12 months. Real work, not executive babysitting. She'll start in our customer service division, answering support tickets from actual customers. She'll learn what it's like to be treated like she treated that waiter last night. She'll learn empathy the hard way." "Done," Marcus said immediately. "She'll do it." "I'm not finished," Franklin said. "You and Elena will volunteer at a non-profit. I'm thinking homeless services or food banks. 20 hours a month for the next year. And you'll make a public statement about what happened, acknowledging your family's behavior and committing to change." Marcus swallowed. "And if we do all that?" If Victoria completes the year and shows genuine growth, Franklin said, if you and Elena actually do the work instead of just showing up for photo ops, and if I believe you've actually learned something, then I'll consider a reduced partnership. Not 75 million, more like 20, and it'll be on my terms. He leaned forward. But if any of you fake it, if you treat this like a PR stunt, if you go back to your old ways, the second the year is up, I'll make sure every business outlet in this city knows exactly who you are. Understood? Marcus nodded, tears in his eyes. Thank you. Thank you, Franklin. I swear we'll do better. Don't thank me yet, Franklin said. Thank me when your daughter learns to see people as humans instead of furniture. Here's what breaks my heart about this moment. Marcus Castellano wasn't sorry his daughter hurt someone. He was sorry his daughter hurt someone important. If Franklin had actually been a waiter, if he'd been a server or a janitor or anyone without power or wealth, Victoria's actions would have been fine, acceptable, just Victoria being spirited. Nobody would have cared. And that's the real problem, isn't it? We teach people, consciously or not, that cruelty is okay, as long as you're cruel to the right people, to people without power, to people who can't hurt you back. We teach that respect is conditional, that dignity is earned through status, that how you treat the help doesn't matter because they don't matter, until they do. Until they turn out to be someone with power. And then suddenly, magically, everyone's sorry. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of that. Maybe someone treated you terribly when they thought you were nobody, then changed their tune when they realized you mattered. Or maybe, and this is harder to admit, maybe you've been the one doing the judging. Treating service workers differently than customers. Treating people differently based on their clothes or their job or their accent. Subscribe if you're learning like, the Castellanos are about to learn that how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter is when it matters most. Because character isn't what you do when people are watching. It's what you do when you think no one important is. Victoria Castellano showed up to Rhodes Innovations on Monday morning looking like she was going to her execution. Designer outfit replaced with business casual. Heels replaced with flats. The confidence replaced with something that looked like terror. Franklin met her in the lobby personally. Miss Castellano, he said formally, welcome to Rhodes Innovations. You'll be working in customer experience. Your supervisor is Keisha Washington. She's been with the company for 8 years and she's one of our best. You'll do exactly what she tells you, when she tells you, without complaint. Understood? Victoria nodded, her voice small. Yes, sir. And Victoria, Franklin said, everyone here knows who you are. They know what you did. You don't get to coast on your family name here. You earn respect through work, nothing else. Everyone, I understand, she whispered. Keisha Washington, a 45-year-old black woman who'd worked her way up from receptionist to head of customer experience, looked Victoria up and down with barely concealed skepticism. Can you type? Keisha asked. Yes. Can you handle angry customers without crying? Victoria hesitated. I think so. You'll find out, Keisha said. Because you're about to spend 8 hours a day answering support tickets from people who are frustrated, angry, and demanding. And you're going to help them. With patience. With respect. Even when they're not respectful to you. She handed Victoria a headset. Welcome to what it's like to serve people, Miss Castellano. Let's see how you handle being treated the way you treated that waiter. The first week was brutal. Victoria answered 47 support tickets. She was yelled at 23 times, called incompetent 8 times, hung up on 12 times. She came close to quitting on day 3. Keisha caught her crying in the bathroom. Hard, isn't it? Keisha said, not unkindly. Being treated like you don't matter? I was just trying to help, Victoria said through tears. This customer kept screaming at me that I was stupid, that I didn't know what I was doing. And how did that feel? Keisha asked. Victoria looked up, recognition dawning. It felt like what I did to that man. What I did to Mr. Rhodes. Welcome to empathy, Keisha said. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. There's a moment in every spoiled person's life when they realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. For Victoria, it was being yelled at by a customer for 15 minutes about a technical issue that wasn't even her fault, then having to apologize professionally and fix it anyway. For the first time in her 22 years, Victoria understood what it felt like to be powerless, to serve, to be treated like her feelings didn't matter because she was just there to help. And something inside her started to shift. Not because Franklin punished her, not because her parents were mortified, but because she finally felt what she'd been doing to other people her whole life. Sometimes, the only way to learn compassion is to experience the lack of it. Subscribe if you believe that some of us need to be humbled before we can be kind. Because maybe empathy isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn through understanding what it feels like to be on the other side. 6 months into the internship, Franklin checked in on Victoria's progress. Keisha's report was surprising. "She's good," Keisha said. "Really good. She stays late to help with backlog. She's patient with difficult customers. Last week, she de-escalated a situation that could have lost us a major client. She's not faking it, Franklin. She's actually changed." Franklin decided to see for himself. He listened in on one of Victoria's calls. A customer was furious about a data migration issue, yelling, threatening to cancel their contract. Victoria's voice was calm, patient, empathetic. "I understand your frustration, sir, and I'm going to fix this for you personally. Can you give me 24 hours? I'll coordinate with our engineering team and call you back tomorrow with a solution. You have my direct extension. If anything goes wrong, you call me, okay?" The customer's tone softened. "Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for yelling." "Don't apologize," Victoria said. "Your frustration is valid. We'll make this right." Franklin hung up, genuinely impressed. Marcus and Elena's volunteer work was equally transformative. They'd started at a homeless outreach center in the Bronx, Franklin's old neighborhood. The first few weeks, they'd been awkward, out of place, clearly uncomfortable. But gradually, something shifted. Marcus started mentoring young men trying to get into construction trades. Elena began teaching resume workshops for women re-entering the workforce. They stopped treating it like penance and started treating it like purpose. Franklin visited them one Saturday. He found Marcus helping a veteran fill out a job application, patiently explaining each section. "This is Jerome," Marcus said, introducing them. "He just got approved for supportive housing. We're working on getting him employed." Jerome shook Franklin's hand. "Mr. Castellano's been a lifesaver. Nobody else took the time." After Jerome left, Marcus looked at Franklin. "I never understood," he said quietly. "I never understood what it's like to need help, to be invisible, to have people look through you like you're not even there." He paused. "My daughter learned it from me, from Elena. We taught her that people's value is determined by their net worth, and we were wrong. So wrong." 12 months after the gala, Franklin called the Castellanos to his office. All three of them came: Marcus, Elena, and Victoria. They sat across from his desk, nervous, hopeful. "You completed the terms," Franklin said. "All of you. Keisha tells me Victoria is the best customer experience rep she's ever trained. The outreach center says you're 2 of their most committed volunteers. And you made a public statement that was genuine, not scripted." He pulled out a contract. "So here's my offer. $20 million for a minority partnership in your Hudson Yards project. I provide the tech infrastructure, you maintain operational control. We split profits 40 to 60, your favor." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "Franklin, I don't know what to say." "I'm not finished," Franklin interrupted. He pulled out a second document. "This is an endowment. $5 million to create the Victoria Castellano Scholarship Fund. It'll provide full-ride college scholarships to young people from low-income backgrounds pursuing careers in hospitality, customer service, and service industries." Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you learned something this year," Franklin said. "You learned that the people who serve us are just as valuable, just as worthy of respect and opportunity as the people being served. And I want you to spend the rest of your life proving you believe that." He looked at Marcus and Elena. "The scholarship fund will be administered through the outreach center where you've been volunteering. You'll sit on the selection committee. You'll interview candidates. You'll mentor recipients. For the rest of your lives, you'll be connected to people who started where you started this year at the bottom, learning humility." Elena wiped tears from her eyes. "This is more than we deserve." "Maybe," Franklin agreed. "But it's not about what you deserve. It's about what you do with the second chance. He stood. I learned something too this year. I learned that destroying people doesn't change them. It just makes them bitter. But giving them a path to become better, that changes everything. Number one, he looked at Victoria. You poured wine on me because you thought I was beneath you. Now you know better. And I believe you'll spend the rest of your life making sure other people know better too. Victoria stood and, to Franklin's surprise, hugged him. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on me when I deserved it. We all deserve second chances, Franklin said. The question is what we do with them. 2 years later, Franklin attended the first Victoria Castellano scholarship ceremony. 15 students received full scholarships. Kids from the Bronx, from Queens, from neighborhoods where people didn't usually get chances. One of them was James, the young server from the gala who'd handed Franklin napkins. You already gave me an internship, James said, confused. Why am I getting a scholarship too? Because you showed me kindness when you had nothing to gain, Franklin said. And I want to make sure you never have to choose between working your way through school and actually experiencing college. You've earned this. Victoria presented each scholarship personally, shaking hands, making eye contact, treating each recipient like they mattered. Because they did. And she finally understood that. Marcus and Elena stood in the back, watching their daughter, tears streaming down their faces. We raised a good kid, Marcus said. No, Elena corrected softly. We raised a spoiled kid. Franklin raised a good one. Franklin's mother attended the ceremony too, healthy now, beaming with pride. You could have destroyed them, she said to her son afterward. Everyone would have understood. I could have, Franklin agreed, but you taught me better than that. I taught you to work hard and treat people with respect, his mother said. This, she gestured to the ceremony, the scholarships, the transformed family. This is all you, Franklin smiled. No, Mom, this is all us. You showed me what kindness looks like by being kind when you had nothing. I'm just passing it forward. 3 years after the gala, the Castellano development opened in Hudson Yards. It was a success. Cutting-edge technology, sustainable design, and a percentage of units reserved as affordable housing for service workers, Victoria's idea. Victoria ran the community outreach program. Marcus and Elena donated a significant portion of their profits to the scholarship fund. And Franklin, he attended every scholarship ceremony, every single one, because he'd learned something that night at the gala. Revenge is easy. It's satisfying for maybe 10 minutes. But grace that transforms people, that creates ripple effects for generations, that's power. Real power. The kind you can't buy. The kind you have to choose. Here's what Franklin understood that most of us don't. When you destroy someone who wronged you, you get one moment of satisfaction. You get to watch them suffer. You get revenge. But when you give them a path to become better, when you transform their cruelty into compassion, when you turn their mistake into a lifelong commitment to doing better, you don't just change one life. You change everyone that person touches, everyone they influence, everyone who benefits from who they become instead of who they were. Victoria was a spoiled, entitled kid who treated people like garbage. Now she runs a program that gives opportunities to kids from the neighborhoods she used to ignore. Marcus and Elena were people who taught their daughter that worth is measured in dollars. Now they mentor people society tells them are worthless. 15 kids got scholarships that will change their families for generations. All because Franklin chose grace over revenge, transformation over destruction, hope over bitterness. That's not weakness. That's not letting people off the hook. That's understanding that the best revenge isn't making someone suffer. It's making them better. Subscribe if you believe that the strongest thing you can do when someone wrongs you isn't to destroy them, it's to give them a chance to destroy who they used to be and build something better. Because maybe that's how we change the world, one second chance at a time. This is the story of Franklin Rhodes and the Castellano family. A billionaire who was humiliated and a family who learned that cruelty has consequences. But it's also the story of what happens when someone with power chooses to use it for transformation instead of destruction. Franklin didn't just cancel a deal. He canceled a way of thinking. He didn't just punish a family. He redeemed them. And in doing so, He created something more valuable than any business partnership could ever be. He created proof that people can change, if someone believes in them enough to show them how. The end.